Welcome back, everybody. This is Unconditional Surrender, the me, myself, and I playthrough of the main event. Game is published by GMT Games and was designed by Salvatore Vasta. When we last left off, it was the end of January of 1940, so we'll be starting February of 1941. I want to replay 1940? I don't think so. So we will need to check the weather track and see what happens. In the cold zone, we roll a 2, which leaves it at poor. In the mild zone, we roll a 4, which leaves it at poor. And in the warm zone, we roll a 2, for December, February is also poor. So the weather didn't change this turn. That could be good or bad depending on your point of view. We need to go. Germany's not going to declare war, and the other two can't. The economy phase, just a quick look at the tracks here so you can see. I've already reset everything. The Germans did give one more to the Italians to try and make sure that they can do what they need to do. I gave 2 to the Romanians last turn, and I didn't move any Romanian units, so I'm not going to give any to those miners until I remember to actually let them use them. So the next thing up will be the strategic warfare phase. There's nothing against the Soviets. If we check the faction cards, the Germans don't have any submarines, and the British don't have anything yet to affect it, so it's just going to be German +3 and the British their straight die roll. So the Germans roll a 1 + 3 is a 4, and the British roll a 5. Now that's good news for the British. A 4 to a 5 is an asterisk, so the British get to bring down their factory loss marker by 1. So they'll get some more production points next turn. That's strategic warfare. Strategic movement. Yes, I think I had one for the Germans. Where did I hide the marker? It's under here. I'm going to put it on the 4th loof. It went to my card. I pulled it off the card. I put it on the 4th loop. I'm not going to actually go through that exercise. And then the 4th loop is going to go by rail through Vienna, into Budapest, Sloznik, down here into Romania, and then drop themselves in that space. 3241. Covers from Odessa all the way up and down these double river lines here, which I'm going to probably need the aircraft to get through. That's my strategic movement there. The West. I really don't see one at this point. I put the airplane in here so that I could move it off once I'm confident that I can handle anything the Germans can throw at me. So I think I'm just going to skip strategic movement for the West, and the Soviets don't have any, at least not yet. That takes care of that. Boom, boom. Into the Axis operations phase. Now the Axis really doesn't have a lot to do. One of the things that we need to remember, there's a pro marker in Madrid for the British. Or the Western Allies, I guess I should say. And then there's a pro-Soviet marker in Turkey. The big events here are going to be what happens in the diplomacy phase. It is shaping my German strategy a bit, in that the 15th here will be moving down into Romania, because I may need to have a couple of infantry units to take care of things. So, first thing we're going to do is activate the 4th, bring up the national tracks. These things. So that's a production point. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for the mountain, for the ridge, the mountain's hex side. 6, 7 for the mountain into 3341, and then we'll go right where we put the airplane so that it has a garrison sitting on it. Go ahead and activate the 2nd Panzer. That's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to activate the 10th. I'm trying to remember where I put this. It's the 18th. I'm sorry. 18th is back here. So that's another production point. Down to 13. I have to turn that off so I can move these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can't quite get where I want to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7, 8. That's the best I can do. 35, 42. Not exactly where I wanted to be. I was hoping to get a little further, one hex more up to the northeast, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Romanians. Get them moving to where they belong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're actually going to hang back because I'm worried about this whole Turkey-Spain thing and who's going to activate. I've been debating in my mind which one I would rather not face, and I'm heavily leaning towards, if I know I'm going to get a political success of some sort, and I'm heavily leaning towards taking off the Spanish pro-Western marker, because most of my army is going to be in the east. Turkey can pretty much be contained with Bulgarian and a couple of German infantry. Can keep them in check. And if the Russians are going to start sending their infantry that way, they're going to leave more gaps for me to work on in Russia. And it's easier for me to reinforce since my army's over here anyway. So I think that's the way I'm going to go with this. I think I was supposed to take a production point up here. I don't think I have yet. And the 15th goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It only gets to 3463. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He'll go to 35, 36. I think he's going to take a more southerly route to help guard the Romanian border from the Turks. And we'll go to moving the 10th, I think. That should leave me more than enough. I just want to move them one hex here. I think. I might change my mind next month, I don't know. And then I have to go see if there's anything else. Oh. Look, kids. There's nothing under the strategic move marker. Let's pick the airplane up. The airplane didn't move with the strategic move marker. So I'm restacking things. That was like, look there, and all of a sudden the airplane is still there. It's like, why is the airplane still here? I think I'm done over here. I need to go check the west. See if there's anything I'm supposed to... Oh yeah, there's some games I'm supposed to play here. So what's in my... I do have to save 2 for that armor. And I think there's 2 infantry in the east. Oh no, there's the the mobile down south too, in Munich. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I don't think I have a lot of sorties to clear. 7. And I don't have a lot of sorties to clear. So I need to have 7 and 5. I need to have 12 left, and I'm at 21, I think. Okay, I think I'm okay. Again, I'm not really sure what's going to end up happening down here in Never Never Land. So, supposed to be down 19. I'm just going to move the mobile unit. I'm only going to move it to Venice. In case they get the Turks on their side, that unit's probably going to end up having to go face Turkey rather than going to the Middle East, which will be painful, to say the least. And then I had a couple swappy moves here. So that's going to be 2 more. There's going to be 2 more moves. I'm going to make the 9th is going to leave rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And then the 4th garrison will go into Brest. Those are my 2 points for that. Basically, I need to have something to make the British at least attack, even if I'm not going to be at the best odds, if he wants to capture Brest. And then this here is to sort of cover these sea zones, 10 and 8 for when he does come and invade. Kind of like just setting them up now, because come later on in the game when the Allies will have lots of surprise markers because the U.S. will be in the war and they'll be able to do all sorts of things, I'm not going to have a whole lot of extra production points to be wasting moving units around. So best I kind of get my defenses pretty much where I want them to be, and then see what happens coming along. I think I am done. I don't see me needing to attack the Soviets this turn, so I don't need to put them in supply. I'm kind of worried about where he's going to take that airplane, but I'm going to go ahead and pop up a sortie on this just to keep this airplane in supply. And Italians. I should have done any moves that they had first. Now I can play shenanigan games here. There's at least one shenanigan I wanted to try. I'm going to dare the British to try and pull off an invasion on me. Still have 10, which is what I'll need. So 1 to move this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this guy activates and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I wanted to get a full unit to guard that supply choke point. I am risking Tripoli at the moment, but it takes a lot of work for the British to pull off that kind of invasion. And I have my surprise marker coming back next turn, which means Malta would be vulnerable for me to capture. So think I'm going to go ahead and try this. Take my chances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay. I should activate these guys. And take the points off the Italian track. 1, 2. Okay. And then when I'm doing supply, I'm forcibly not supplying the unit in Sardinia because I'm going to have him go to no supply next turn. He'll be eliminated, and I'll be able to build him back in Italy/Sicily. He serves no purpose in Sardinia because I've already captured. I mean, France is gone. He was there to threaten to get a will point, and now they're probably going to be needed more in the homeland than anywhere else. And then supply-wise, since he's in the right place, I'm going to supply the 2 frontline units like I normally do with that thing there. Low supply is going to be this guy that has a low supply marker on him, and this guy will also go to low supply. And this guy will be officially, quote unquote, he is out of supply, so he gets a marker. And then next turn I'll have to try and keep things in supply. So, and since I didn't fly anything out of Benghazi, I didn't do any Benghazi stuff, so there's no naval combat's going to go on here. So the Axis are done. Onwards. Operations in the West, they have 12. Next turn they will have 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 14 next turn. So the question is do I want to try and push these Italians right out of Egypt before German units arrive? Doesn't look like the Italians are going to oblige me in attack. So I think we're going to go... Oh boy. I think I'm going to save my production points. Go ahead and spend 1. Have this guy get activated. Let's see, you go 1, 2, 3. To limit his retreat routes. No, that was a risky thing last time. I think I'm going to go 1, 2. Yeah, I think I'll go there. 3. No, I'm just going to leave him there. We're not going to spend that production point. We're going to go too far north. We are going to rack up some sorties here. The Germans still have their surface action marker, so I have to escort this convoy out of Plymouth. The airplane is the one that's activating. The convoy is going to transport them, and the fleet is going to escort. Before I do that, I have to move someone else. I need to go down here. And this convoy is going to need to go 1. He goes 1 to the sea zone, 3 to the Arabian Sea, 6, so now he's up to 7 movement points into the Western Indian Ocean, and then he flies all the way across over to the South American. Hello. Oh, hello. Where are you? To the South Atlantic Ocean, incurring a sortie. You'll see what's going on here in a moment. Now I go back up here, and I'm going to do this move. So it's 1 into Sea Zone 7. The Germans can intercept me here. Just to show you how it works, I think I'm going to go ahead and try. So the Germans place themselves in Brest, and then they intercept. So the Germans are attacking. They're at +1 because they're German. The British normally would be +2, but they're -2 for their sorties. Then we have to check the weather, and it's poor everywhere. And if you go check the things here, it's minus, where did it go? -2, defending or attacking a unit in a hex or sea zone affected by poor weather. So then we're both -2. So the British are -2, and I'm a net -1. So now we roll the dice. The Germans roll. A 3 -1 is a 2, which means the escort will succeed. 6 -2 is a 4, might succeed very well. So I have a 2 on the attacker net and a 4 on the defender. So we'll go take a quick look. 2 on the attacker and a 4 on the defender means I take 2 sorties on the surface action. 1 sortie has to go on the fleet because it fought a combat. And then that AS result means that the interception was successful and this thing's activation ends. This marker comes back on sorties, which is 2 + 1, so 3 turns from now. 1, 2, 3. It'll come back in May with my submarines. And the British get to proceed. So then they go up to the North Atlantic Ocean, which is 3 more. So now they've spent 4. Then they go to the South Atlantic for 3, and then over to the Western Indian Ocean for another 3, for a grand total of 10. So these guys, I'm going to do a little shortcut here. Oh, they won't fit on there. What do I want to use? Turn track, there it is. Oh, God. Things just will not go where I want them to. It's taking too long to do this turn. There, I just take these guys, drop them on here, close this, use my quick map thing to get over here, and then open up the turn again, and grab these guys, and they end up here. Now at the end of that, certain people have to take sorties, and certain people don't. The fleet, since he fought a combat, does not take any sorties. The convoy takes 1, and so does the aircraft. Okay. Now we've landed in the Western Indian Ocean. We're going to activate the aircraft again, along with the convoy, but not the escort. And so, so these guys will go into Suez. It's 3 into the Arabian box, 1 into 31, and then they land in the port. And of course, I want to grab this sortie marker, not the stack. So they're here, and then the air unit and the The air unit and the convoy both take a sortie. Now this thing is going to activate and move 3 to the South Atlantic, 3 to the North Atlantic, 1 into Cadiz, I think it's called. So he moved 3 to here, and then he moves 3 to the North Atlantic. So that's 6. And then he can go into C Zone 1 for 7, C Zone 9 for 8, and just land in Cardiff. And then this guy here is going to do basically the same thing, go into the North Atlantic, go into C Zone 1 and then C Zone 9, and land here. So I need to put sorties on the guys in Cardiff. I'm just going to set the convoy next to it so I can keep the sorties straight between the two. And now I go do British supply. British have a little bit bigger supply problem here. They're going to keep 3 units in supply. So this convoy is going to take a sortie marker, and the Port Said one will take 2 like it normally does. So that's for the infantry, but I wanted to have someone keep the airplane in supply. So I did. That's the one in Alexandria. And that's the western phase. And the Russians don't really have anything. So there is no supply. We go to replacements. Yes, the Axis have some replacements to do. Here on the Eastern Front especially. They have some units to flip over. First off, I'm going to reset this so I can see my units. 1 for the 15th and 1 for the 17th. That's 2. 1, 2. So they get to be flipped up to full strength. I have, and the 11th up here is another production point. He gets flipped. If I can highlight him and flip him. And then I have in northern Italy, waiting for the diplomacy thing, I'm going to spend 2 to flip him to full strength. One, 2. So that leaves me with 13. I don't have anything to clear on my airplanes. I'm going to have 2 to build, or actually I guess it leaves me at 12. I have 2 to build. I have plenty of stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and spend 3, put myself down to 9, and I'm going to clear the convoys up here and just for grins. And the Italians will spend 10. What they're going to do is this one's going to come down 2. And they're going to clear the stuff on the fleets and the convoy over here. Not the convoy unit. Let's just go away. Okay. Now I have decent supply capabilities and stuff. And Western replacements. Oh, that was so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4. So I'm at 1. And West had... They still had their 12, right? Oops, not that one. Yes, they're still at 12. They need to save 5, so they can only do 7. So it's basically 2 6s. So they do this one. And then they're going to clear the airplane. Again, I'm going to move the convoy adjacent here just so I can keep track of sorties a little bit. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to stay in it for diplomacy, because if I were to spend my things and give up on diplomacy, the German political success then would clear Turkey because I wouldn't be able to pull. So I have to force him to choose between the two countries when we get to diplomacy phase. That's what that's all about. Otherwise, I would just clear like 2 more sets of sorties on things. But not going to happen. So Russians don't have any replacements, no upgrades. The Axis does have a mobilization. They will spend 2. For the Germans, go get their card. Bounce up into here. The 4th Panzer is going to go in. Wow. How rude. It's going to be built in Königsberg. Fill that gap there at 2436 with an armored unit. And no one else has anything to mobilize. So we're out of mobilization. We are now to diplomacy phase. Ta-da! Let us see what happens here. The Axis will spend their 5 if I can get up the right card. The Axis will spend 5, so it brings them down to 2. 4, 5. And then they will pull a chit. A political success! Yay! Like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I really think I need to get rid of this one. The idea of having to fight a 2-front war when I start on, even if it's a paltry Spain and maybe one, the British BEF, it still would require me to drop a couple of infantry down there to protect, and if you were to kill something, I might have to do repatriation, which means I probably would have to keep the French Air Force, the French-based airplane down there to keep him in check. And it's just a drain on production points for me, that if I'm going to drain production points, I might as well do it in the east. So we're going to put this one back. Take the pro-Western one out of Madrid and say, no Spain in the war this time. And then that goes up here on the track. So, that leaves the British with a dilemma. There is a pro-Axis marker and a political success in there. If they pull the political success, then Russia has no chance of getting Turkey. If they pull the pro-Axis marker, then we know the Axis can't get any more things working in their way. We're getting near the end of diplomacy season because it's already February. We've got maybe 2 or 3 more turns to try and get something done. As far as swaying one more country. I think at this point I could try to load it. Right now it's 50-50 for the Soviets. Oh dear. I really don't know which way to go. I could try to throw in a political success and a no event. Then it would be still 50-50. Because they'd have 2 political successes, 1 German and 1 no event. But if they pull the no event, then that means the Germans will have a political success next turn for sure. Be able to clear the thing in Turkey, and then we won't be able to get anywhere between the British and the Russians. I think I'm going to make a huge gamble here and not reload the cup. Wasted some production points, but I really want to give the Russians, literally, there's only two chits. Either they pull the right one or they don't. So the British pass, and we go on to the Soviets. So, we're to the Soviets. They spend their 5. And let's see what they get. Ah! Well, my 50-50 didn't work. They pulled the pro-axis marker. Dang it. That basically becomes a sort of a no event for the Russians because they can't do anything with the pro-axis. That only leaves in the Diplomacy Cup a political success, which means in the next diplomacy phase, since the Germans go first, they will be able to pull it and clear the pro-Soviet marker in Turkey, and that will end our adventures in trying to get Spain and Turkey in the war. Because I don't think we'll have enough. We'll have one turn to the Allies will load the cups with 2 political successes. I don't even know if that would be worth doing. They may not. The Russians may throw in some like a political failure and things in case the Moscow Treaty shows up and make diplomacy be risky for anyone to actually engage in. But, oh well, 50-50 shots are 50-50 shots, I guess. And that's the diplomacy phase. Victory check, they haven't conquered Germany yet, so it's not over. End of turn phase. All we get out of here is the German surprise attack marker comes back when we go into March. And I checked, and I'm like right over 30 minutes somewhere. My rambling a little bit and hesitation on what to do with the British and their diplomacy kind of ate up my time. So I guess we're going to call this the turn. That was February of 1941. The game is Unconditional Surrender. This is the Me, Myself, and I playthrough of the main event. I'm Dren608, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you.